Hiya, it's Mr. Holden, the speech and language therapist. I'm making this video today because I want to have a chat with you about storytelling skills and why they're so important for children's speech and language development. Now, when we talk about storytelling skills, this is basically the little real or made up stories that we all tell each other on a daily basis. So the likes of me, you, anybody else, children, we tell each other stories. So when a child comes home from school and they tell you about what they've done at school that day, that's one example of their storytelling. That's a real life story. It could be that they tell their teacher what they did at the weekend. It could even, another example of storytelling might be talking about an incident that's happened on the playground. We also tell made up stories, so they might be things like telling you the plot or what happened in a book or a TV programme or in a film. Now, when speech and language therapists talk about storytelling, another way we talk about them is calling them narrative skills. It's basically just a different way of saying the same thing. So when you might hear that we're doing some narrative therapy with your child, it basically just means we're working on their storytelling skills. Now, storytelling is really important for children's ability to access the curriculum, and when they go on to get older, their ability to not only tell stories but understand stories or understand texts that are this big and understand what is going on overall is really important. Now, storytelling skills or narrative difficulties, difficulty with your storytelling can present in a number of ways. So one of the ways that it might present is difficulty giving enough information or enough details. And a classic example of this is when I speak with parents and they say that their child might have been out with nan, granddad, mum, dad, whoever, and they might have gone out and had a really fun day. And when they come home, they ask them what happened, what did you do? And the child might either say, I don't know, or just say like one or two things. And it can be quite frustrating for the parents, especially that when they drill into it a bit more and ask some closed questions like, well, did you go for anything to eat? Yes. Where did you go? McDonald's. What did you have to eat? I had a hamburger. And the parent thinks, well, when I asked you, what did you do? Why didn't you tell me that you did that? I know that that was really exciting for you. And I know that you would have found that really exciting telling me. Often this can actually just reflect that they've got a difficulty with their narrative skills, with the storytelling, and that they don't know what information to include. And we think about when you go out with nan or granddad or mum, dad, whoever, and lots of things happen, you might have a difficulty knowing what the key bits are to include. Another way that storytelling skills, narrative difficulties can present is having difficulty saying what happened and what order it happened in. Often children, they might tell a story, and if this is the order things happening, they miss parts of it out and it's all jumbled round and not in the right order, and it sounds really disorganised. That can be quite hard to follow as a listener, and it can sometimes lead you to tuning out, or for other children when they're a bit younger, actually telling a child to shut up because it's so hard to follow. Now that can be really frustrating for the person who wants to tell a story where they know in their head exactly what happened that they want to say, but they struggle getting it out and putting it in a correct order. That can just be another example of them having difficulty with their narrative skills, with their storytelling skills. Another difficulty that we sometimes see is children just launching straight into a story and not giving them enough background information, not setting the scene. That's another really important narrative skill and something that can reflect difficulty. And often you might hear people either getting frustrated or saying, sorry, what do you say? Go back. What? Tell me, who was there? When did this happen? And where was this? And children might leave them bits of information out and just launch straight in. Now, all of these skills, as I've said, are really important for accessing the curriculum, and actually just from what you've heard there, just for socialising and making friends. If you're having a difficulty with this, that's going to be really difficult. And I think I've mentioned there that accessing the curriculum, it's difficult for that. And when children get older and they're expected to understand texts and follow it, if children are finding understanding and telling stories just through spoken language, it's going to be even harder for them then when they're going to looking at written pieces of work or they're having to write it themselves. So it's a really important skill to work on if we identify difficulty. Now, after saying about how important it is, the good thing is that there's things that we can do to help children with their storytelling skills, with their narrative skills. Now, the way that we can work on it is that any story has got some basic components, some basic things that is present in each story that we can make a child aware of and that we can talk about. And the way that we do this is we can work on different what questions. So that can be things like who, when, where. Often stories have these components to them, and by making children aware of them and the importance of saying them, that helps them come up with a structure in their head of what the key bits of information are that we need to say when we're telling a story. And it helps them understand that their understanding of these question words also helps with the storytelling ability. So the different ways that we can work on these is giving children lots of exposure and lots of practice at listening to and telling stories and being asked these different questions about the story. So I'll go through through all of them now that we can do the basic components. So we've got who. Now who tells us about the character in the story, and the who in the story could be a person, but it could also be an animal when you think about Peppa Pig. It could also be a thing like Thomas the Tank Engine. These are all who is in the story. They're all characters. We've also got where. When we're setting the scene, we also need to talk about where is it happening. Now this could be on the moon, in England, at school, in the house, on the floor. There are different kinds of where things happen in a story. We've also got the question when. Now when can be really tricky for some children, and I think it might be because there's lots of different kinds of when. There's not just when as in the time. We can talk about big, medium and little whens. Now an example of a big when might be at Christmas time, in the winter, on your birthday. They're big whens. Then you've got your medium whens, which might be something like in January, in December, last week, on Monday, on Friday. There's your medium whens. But then you've also got small whens, like this morning, yesterday, today, at lunchtime, in the daytime, at night time. These are all the different kinds of when. And it's really important for children to get lots of exposure to these different kinds of whens by reading stories and talking about stories and making them aware of these when things, of these when questions. So, those three that I've just mentioned, the who, where and when, are really important for setting the scene. Like I spoke about earlier, where sometimes children just launch into a story. These are really key components about setting the scene about a story, and it sets us up to be able to talk about what happened. Now, what happened isn't usually one thing, especially in a story. Usually in a story, lots of things happen, and at this stage, children can struggle either remembering all the things that happened, or even if they do remember them all, remembering the order that they happened. And remember when I talked about that you might have an order that things happen and children just jumble them around all over the place. It can be really good to repeat and go over the same story on different days to get your child better at predicting what's coming up and remembering the different stages and being given practice to talk about what happened. And you can help them remember the order and things happen by either using signs or actually writing down and using language like, so what happened first? Okay, what happened next? What happened after that? Okay, and what happened at the end? Now, they might not be able to do this straight away, so you can just give them that information. So first this happened, and next, what do you think is going to happen after that? That's right. And just gradually stepping that down, seeing if they can answer it themselves, and seeing if they can just tell you the order of things happening, and you can step in wherever you want to help them get the correct answer. But by using this kind of language with first, next, then, you're helping them with that what happened and putting it in the correct sequence of order things happen. And like we've said, the better you can put things in the right order and that things follow a logical or ordered in time, the more likely it is that your listener is going to understand the story, the thing that you're trying to say. So there we go, we've got what happened. And the final thing is you talk about what happened at the end. Now for a lot of children's stories, what happens is lots of things happen in the story, something might go wrong, and then normally at the end it resolves and it's nice and happy and they live happily ever after. But it's important to know how we end stories and say what happens at the end. Sometimes when children talk, they find it really difficult to resolve, say what happened at the end, and they might just keep talking or abruptly stop. It's an important skill to know about what happened at the end, so you know how to finish talking about a story. So to just go over those again, the important key components of a story that we can talk about with a child when we're reading a story is about who is in the story, where is the story taking place, when is it happening, what happened in the story, what happened at the end. Now, the whole purpose of doing this is I am looking to record me reading a number of different stories, and that'll give you the opportunity then to at the end of the video to pause in and go back to the start, and you can talk about these different word and question words with your child and give them as much help as you need at the start in order for them to get it right. You can revisit the video as many times as you want, and I'll try and record me recording a few different stories so it doesn't get too boring. I hope that video is helpful. What I'll do is, if I'm linking this video to you, I'll also provide you with the resources so you can print these off or refer to them on an iPad so you've got these visuals. And if you're wondering what the signs are, you can go back over this video and I'll give you them again now. It was who, where, when, what happened, and at the end. And some of those signs that I used for helping remember the order of what things happened. You could also just write these down or use pictures, but you can use the signs first, next, then, last, or what happened at the end. Hope this video was useful and you're able to get something out of it. Thanks very much.